Right, so now let's hear from Dr. Joe Dispenza on why it is or can be so difficult to change.
Change is an interesting word because we all have our own experience of change. And I think most people wait till they're really in a corner in their life before they make up their mind to change. But our biggest challenge really, it has to do with three things. I always say to change is to be greater than your environment. Okay. That means to be greater than the conditions in your outer world. To be greater than your body. That means that by the time we're 35 years old, we've memorized the set of behaviors and emotional reactions and thoughts that have become subconsciously programmed, in which the body has done something so many times that it's now the mind, and that emotions that we experience from past events tend to drive our thoughts, and those thoughts then produce the same chemicals that create the same emotions. And the repetition of that over time then conditions the body emotionally to be in the past. And I always say the third thing is to be greater than time, which means then if you're waking up every morning and you're running through the same unconscious routine every single day, then your body is on autopilot. And it's dragging you into a predictable future based on what you've done in the past. And another way to say it is people lose their free will to a program. And that program is not something outside of them that's doing it. It's the fact that they're so caught up in a routine, so caught up in a habit, that they haven't really stopped long enough to realize that there's other choices to make. So now let's break it down. So if change is to be greater than your environment, and your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your life, your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. And you're not being defined every single day by a vision of the future. We could say then you're left with the old hardware and circuitry of the past. So then when you wake up in the morning and you come back to your senses, and the first thing most people do is they get up and they start their normal routine, when they open their eyes and their senses plug them into the external environment, Nate, as they begin to see the same people and they go to the same places and they interact with the same objects and things in their external environment that are knowns to them, every person, every body, everything, every object, every place has a neurological network in their brain because they've experienced them. It's a memory, and the memories are based on the past. So most people wake up in the morning, they come back to their senses, and they start thinking about all their problems that are connected to all people and all the things and all places and times in their life, and they're starting their brain firing in the past. Now, every one of those experiences, those memories, has an emotion attached to them because emotions are a record of the past. So the moment they start reviewing their problems that are connected to their ex-husband or their ex-wife or to their finances or problems at work, the moment they start from that place, not only are they activating the circuits from their past, but they're creating emotions from their past. Now, that means that the moment they feel unhappy, the moment they feel uninspired, the moment they feel anger or frustration or fear or negativity, their body then is starting the day from the past. So now, thoughts are the currency of the brain, and feelings are the currency of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates what I call your state of being. So then the person wakes up in the morning, they don't know that they do this, they search for the familiar feeling called themselves. The moment those feelings and emotions are connected to people and things and objects at certain times and places, it means then their entire state of being, their mind and body, they're starting their day in the past. So now think about this. When they wake up in the morning and they start their routine behaviors that are mostly unconscious choices that they're making, and they're seeing certain people and they're going to certain places and they're doing certain things at the exact same time, it's their external environment that's controlling, literally, unconsciously, how they're thinking and feeling. So when they see that person, their neurological network activates in their brain from a memory. That memory produces an emotion and they say, oh, I don't like that person, or I judge that person, or I hate that person. And now they're unconsciously reacting to their environment. Now, What that means then, it's no longer that their personality is creating their personal reality. Now their personal reality is controlling their personality. So it makes sense then that to change then is to be greater than the circumstances in your life, the conditions in your world. Now take this a little further. The moment the person feels guilty, the moment the person feels sad, the moment the person feels pain, and that familiar emotion is connected to some past experience, and those emotions are driving their thoughts. And those thoughts then are turning on certain circuits in the brain that signal another part of their brain for them to feel more sadness, more pain, more frustration, whatever emotion. The moment they feel that emotion inspires more thoughts. And now the repetition of that cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking conditions the body to subconsciously become the mind. So now the body emotionally is in the past. Now the body is the unconscious mind. It doesn't know the difference between an experience in your life that's creating an emotion and an emotion that you're creating by thought alone. To the body, it's exactly the same. So to that person, their body is believing it's living in the same past experiences that created those emotions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And if they're caught in that loop over and over again, the redundancy of that cycle conditions the body to become the mind emotionally, and the body's literally in the past. So a person can't create a new future if they're addicted to those emotions of the past. So then to change then is to be greater than those habits, to be greater than those emotional addictions. How about time? If you're waking up every morning, you're reaching for your cell phone, you're checking your text, you're checking your Facebook, you're checking your WhatsApp, you're checking your Instagram, you're checking your emails, you're checking the news, you're tweeting, you're twittering, you're doing whatever. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you go get your cup of coffee, you let the dog out, you take a shower, you get dressed, you drive to work the same way, you see the same people, and you do that for 10 or 20 years. It makes sense then your body's on autopilot and you're not in the present moment. You're running a series of programs. Now, just like your cell phone or any computer device that you have, technological device, if you're running a series of programs, you're turning on a lot of different programs, you're going to drain your battery. So then we can take the person's yesterday and set it up and place it on tomorrow. And it's exactly the same. So then teaching a person to get out of that predictable future and familiar past and learning about the present moment what it means to be greater than time. And when people start to really piece this together and we give them the tools of how to do this, when they get beyond their body, when they get beyond their associations to people and objects and things and places in their external environment, and they're so present that they forget about time, that's the elegant moment where the inner world starts becoming more real than the outer world, and then we start seeing very significant changes in a person's life. And we now know that it's teachable, and we now know that it's possible for people to do.